She was also in that love movie about eating each other. Together We Eat. What was it called?
I don't know what you're talking about. Hello, welcome to Guide to the Unknown. I'm Kristen.
And I'm her little brother, William.
And we're trapped within the confines of GAMETOBER, but we'll be breaking out because this is the last week, and we are talking about Escape Room.
Yeah.
1 and 2.
Yes, the hit movie franchise. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure if that's an accurate description.
There was such a jump in apparent budget from 1 to 2 that it makes me think that I guess it must have been kind of
one did very well. Escape Room 1 came out in 2019.
Yeah.
Did quite well for itself. And then they made an Escape Room 2, but it's
did that do well, do you know? I didn't look.
It did not do as well. And so there were rumors, but it came out in 2020.
Right.
And so who knows where anything lands right now, right?
I would guess it might be one of the kind of, I can't think of what word I'm trying to think of, but that it won't go forward. Because there are a lot of things that were kind of in the works in 2020, 2021, and they just kind of fell by the wayside.
I can totally imagine this
victims.
not being a priority at all.
Yeah.
But for my money, I don't know. I kind of enjoyed it. Although I should say I'm a little bit biased. I'm very much a fan of the concept of escape rooms.
Right. You're an escape room boy.
I am an escape room boy.
Yeah.
So if I may give my history with escape rooms.
This is just a chance to brag about you solving escape rooms.
No, because it all fell apart eventually. What year did I get engaged? Do you have any idea?
No.
I got married in 2015. Mm-hmm. I probably got engaged a good couple years before that.
I would imagine.
All right.
Yeah.
So let's just say it was 2014. I had my bachelor party.
Yeah.
And we did one of these newfangled escape rooms. Mm-hmm. I'd certainly heard tell of them.
Right.
The idea being that there's a room that's loaded with puzzles. You've got to solve them. You typically have 1 hour to solve every puzzle in this singular room and escape. Yes. Otherwise, you just lose. Mm-hmm. Right. And I looked into this a little bit, like the real life history of escape rooms, and it seems like it was something that sort of started outside the US in the early 2000s. Okay. And then kind of quietly started to come in bit by bit, and then had a huge explosion, I think, right around 2014, 2015, where now escape rooms as a business, like every town's got one, essentially. And I think it's almost quieted.
I think it probably has.
Yeah, I don't think that the fervor is quite where it was.
Not as new.
Not as new.
Yeah.
But so in 2014, and I'll keep this story brief, but it really became like an addiction for a while. So it was my bachelor party. We booked an escape room in the city, New York City. Yeah. And it was all spy themed, like 007-y, James Bond-y, spy themed. Yeah. But it was charmingly cheap, which I remember really, really liking. Yeah, especially because modern escape rooms have such crazy ambition with their design. Yeah. Like some of the ones today are like so technologically advanced and impressive. But I actually kind of liked how sort of rinky-dink this original one that I did was, where it was like a $5 poker card table was sitting in the corner. And like clearly they had, found furniture on the curb. Yeah. Yeah. And dragged it in.
That's the way to do it.
It was the way to do it. Yeah. And a bookcase that I guess if they had had more money or energy, they would have filled it with books. They only had like 2 books sitting on bare shelves. Yeah. But so I loved I've always loved solving puzzles. I mean, you and I obviously have a big, long history. Yeah. Dad used to play the Mind Trap riddle cassettes for us on road trips.
It was awesome.
And so this, it felt like it was totally in my wheelhouse. But something particularly remarkable happened in this first escape room. Yes. Maybe you never forget your first.
Yeah, of course.
So I was looking around, looking at every nook and cranny, peering around, saying, "Ooh, what's this?" And I noted something when we first came in. There was a refrigerator that was like a shitty old 50s looking refrigerator, looked like a big piece of junk. And felt totally out of place. And beside it, there were pots and pans hanging on the wall. Yeah. And the thing that I noticed was that the pots and pans were zip tied to a hook. So you couldn't remove them if you wanted to. And I noticed that where the pots and pans were resting, the wall was all busted in and dented. And I was like, that's weird. It looks like somebody like slammed these pots on the wall.
Yeah.
And people can be animals.
Yeah.
So I was like, I wouldn't be shocked if some kid came in here and just slammed them.
Yeah.
But as we're playing, at a certain point, we find a tape recorder. When you hit play, you hear knock, 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 knock. And I was like, I know what to do. And you grab the pot and you go knock, 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 knock. And you do the dents on the wall.
Yeah.
And then the refrigerator door popped open.
It's so fun.
And they're
so fun.
It wasn't just a refrigerator. It was a portal into the next room.
Uh-oh.
It was 2 rooms. And so you had to crouch and go through the refrigerator, through a false back, into another room.
Was it a pretty big fridge? I'd be really afraid that I would Winnie the Pooh get stuck. My fat ass would be hanging out the side.
Oh, bother. The new game is how can we get Will out of the fridge?
Kristen.
And I remember Bobby was walking around with this book that had like binary code, and he's like trying to memorize this binary code. And it clearly lines up with this like wall of switches. We've got like 3 minutes left. We're running out of time. We didn't know there was a second room. I've never done one of these before.
Yeah, right.
But I also really like logic puzzles. And so I was like, well, no matter what, I can solve this board with enough time.
Right.
So I just flip all the switches like on, off. On and on, off.
Yeah, just like process of elimination it out.
And everyone was like, that's going to take too long, Will. And by gum, I did it.
That's
and
awesome.
we escaped the room by the skin of our teeth.
Yeah.
And it was the most exciting thing. It felt like Indiana Jones running out of the temple at the beginning of Raiders of the Lost Ark. Like just barely escaping with enough time.
That's so fun.
And after that first escape room, I said to Allie, I was like, you've got to do one of these with me.
Yeah.
Because Allie's like the smartest person that I know. And
Excuse me?
Don't worry, Kristen. You're clearly the dimmest.
William.
Kraus.
Go ahead.
But so Allie and I, then I'm going to say literally dozens.
Yeah.
Over the course of just a few years, dozens upon dozens of escape rooms. Did them with some of my coworkers. Couldn't stop going. It was like almost an every weekend kind of thing. I got completely hooked on doing them.
Yeah.
But I was too damn good. I never lost until I finally did. And then that sort of destroyed it for me. But I was firmly...
You win everything.
I
You always do. You're so good at games, puzzles, escape rooms. You are a constant winner of these things.
Thank you for acknowledging it.
It's true.
Anybody who watched our Demon Drive knows
God.
Kristen got completely destroyed.
He wiped the absolute floor with me.
A series of challenges that I contrived. So did I perhaps have some edge by being the games master?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
But,
I think I was just better than you.
Yeah, I know. No, Will's anything that's like competitive, Will absolutely kills.
I'm a little competitive.
Yeah.
But so if anybody's wondering, for my money, the best escape room in the country, and I've done them abroad. Now, anytime that we've traveled, we make sort of a point of doing escape rooms out in the world.
Yeah.
But so the best one that I ever did, just for the hell of it, free plug, it's a place called Escape My Room in New Orleans. The greatest escape room. The entire experience begins even before you're in the building.
Yeah.
There's a false window front that looks like an old French perfume shop. And when you go into the building, it only lets you into that front window display.
Yeah.
So you're sitting in it as if like people would walk by and just see you in there. And then the phone rings while you're just standing
so
around.
cool.
And they go, "Do you have a reservation?"
Yeah.
And I went, yeah, it's for Will. And then I got all nervous because they hung up on me and it was under Allie's name.
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
panicked. But then this like apothecary cabinet full of all of these like ingredients and scents and whatever popped open and led into the actual business. It was
so awesome.
Incredible. Escape My Room, New Orleans. Highly recommend. The best.
How delightful.
Now, point being, I think clearly the ephemera of an escape room is one, if you did it right, especially back then, you could make these things for relatively cheap.
Yeah.
And then charge people like $30.
Yeah.
For an hour. For a single hour.
By the way, I'm a multiple time escape room loser.
You've escaped before.
I have, but usually with you. So it's not really I did it.
You should see me in those rooms, man.
Believe me, I have. Remember, did we lose on my birthday when we went to an escape room, or
Possibly.
did we?
My track record in the last few years is I don't even know the last time that
There
I
was
won.
something that I know I grossly misunderstood something having to do with a sword, and I wasted a ton of time. I think we maybe barely.
What's this? Some kind of big toothpick?
I don't remember.
Totally botched it.
I just remember carrying around a plastic sword or something, and I don't know if we won or not.
I have more than a few stories where some bungling doofus is in my way and totally screws up.
That's me.
It drives me insane. There was one that we did where sometimes you do them with strangers because they want to book the room.
Yeah.
So if you don't fill, if a room is for up to 8 people and you've only got 3, you might find yourself saddled with a group of 5 who doesn't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
So there was this one time that we went to one around here and when we're walking in, I didn't even know that this happened, but the person who runs the game handed a piece of paper to one of the strangers.
Oh, no.
And then we spent a solid 20 minutes looking around for how to start the puzzle.
Yeah.
And I'm not even kidding. It was 20-something minutes. And then the lady finally goes, maybe it might have something to do with this. And it was 100%.
Idiot.
Don't you understand? Everything's here for a reason. It's like Tim Curry. Don't you understand? Everyone who's here has been brought here for a reason.
Yes.
I've never been angrier in all my days. So I also think that escape rooms, talk about Clue. I do think that part of it is that Clue board game notion of there's a trap door from the conservatory to the study. Any of these grand old mansions, sort of the old castle horror, 13 Ghosts, where the rooms shift and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a direct one-to-one of what escape rooms are trying to evoke, but it's a feeling. It's that locked room mystery feeling.
Right, and they always have a theme, or for the most part have a theme.
Yeah.
It'll be the castle room, the pyramid room. So it's trying to do something that's really immersive most of the time and has clues that have to do with that theme and stuff. Yeah, I don't know where that comes from, but you're right. Definitely shares DNA with that sort of thing.
Yeah, and the entire notion, although it's a false one, right? You've got 1 hour to escape.
Yeah.
Or well, they'll just open the door and let you out, but you don't get the satisfaction.
As I well know.
Right. Right this way, ma'am. Should be a loser's door.
Ryan and I have lost multiple times, and they're always like, you were so close, so that's the last thing. I'm like, all right.
You weren't even close. Get out of there. They're annoyed by you.
I don't know why. I used to, how or at least for me or us or whatever, in school, they'd have tests that would have logic questions on them or whatever. I was always great at that, but nah.
Man, I used to love those.
Oh, I loved them. If that was on a test in school, I was like, all right, this I got. Everything else I sucked at.
Those ones where it's the man in the yellow hat hates grapefruit.
Yeah.
And you're I want to put an X by grapefruit for man in the yellow hat. And then you feel like a whiz. You feel like Sherlock Holmes.
Pretty much.
It's all an illusion.
Yeah.
But it's.
But stick me in a room with a skeleton hand that I have to pull and it opens another door. I can't figure out how to pull it.
But it's kind of fun to just be in that environment, right? It always feels a little heightened.
It is. I don't really care. I'm not competitive, luckily, so I can just kind of be and I just kind of enjoy it.
Well, the other thing is that there's a value risk. You almost want to see because you could pay your $30 and then get totally stumped on the first puzzle and then be like, oh, I wasted that hour.
No, that is a
money.
thing. I say I'm not competitive, but I would definitely be irritated if I was not getting anywhere. And I'm like, well, what am I looking at then? I don't even get to experience different things.
Yeah, I don't know if there's another thing where it's you pay.
You just don't get to do it all. It's on you.
You never go to a McDonald's and pay for your hamburger, but because of your own folly, you don't get to eat it.
Right. Yeah.
It's
Evil
strange.
Bastards. No, it is strange. Yeah. I think a lot of times they walk you through what you missed. So at least you understand what happened, but you don't get to have the fun of being like, oh, I'm surprised that this thing opened and whatever.
By far the worst ones are the ones where you lose or something and they come in and they go yeah, no, this thing was supposed to work.
Oh, I know.
You're supposed to be able to put the magnet there, but Yeah, I don't know. It's not supposed to be like that.
We've definitely had like
Useless.
the game master kind of like chime in and be like, oh wait, actually that's supposed to whatever.
Type
like
in 2401.
Yeah, like it seems not to be working.
Yeah,
somehow.
it's like, well, that sucks.
Yeah.
You pull it together.
Yeah.
By far the worst one that I ever did, which I'll say because I don't think this company even exists anymore.
I know what you're about to say.
What?
It was like Pokemon themed or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Hallie and I did this Pokemon themed one, which was like, can you help Pikachu get out of this cage? And they had like a stuffed Pikachu, like a boardwalk claw game Pikachu in a box. And one of the big clues was like the code to the final answer, I think. Like the code to the cage was Pikachu's weight. And in the room was a player's guide to the Pokemon games. It was a Pokédex.
Yeah.
And Pokemon is all about statistics.
Yeah.
So the weight of Pikachu is just listed in the book.
Yeah.
So I just opened the book, typed it in, and it didn't work.
Oh, and you're like, it's plainly right here.
And they had contrived their own answer to how much Pikachu weighs that you had to deduce through some means, and it would like.
Then they needed to rip that page.
They didn't even know what they were doing.
They need to rip that page out of the Pokédex.
Yeah, exactly.
Then,
Don't have that in there.
Obviously, you would think that that's the answer because it says it in black and white in like an official thing.
And when they came in, I made sure to say, "You certainly didn't know who you were up against." I know my way around a Pokédex. Okay. Yeah. All that to say, I like escape rooms.
Yes.
So is it any surprise that escape rooms have become sort of a thing in pop culture as well?
No, they were so super duper popular for a while. It's become, I think, kind of faded off, but it was a trope for a while, even on Real Housewives, because they have to have like little activities they would do. People would be like, oh my God, they're going to another escape room across cities. But it became like a thing.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, over multiple franchises, it'd be like, oh, Kenya Moore is having everybody go do an escape room. And then in Beverly Hills, it's like Dorit is having everybody go to her escape room. And so the viewers were like, all right.
It's kind of cheap.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you're watching a free reality show.
True.
About garbage.
And then you watch them interact or whatever. It was always, I mean, I understand the eye roll, but I was always like, okay, I kind of like watching it when they do an escape room.
You know, one of the greatest of the great escape room personalities, don't you?
Who?
Conan O'Brien.
Oh, yeah.
Conan O'Brien brought his associate producer, Jordan Schlansky, into an escape room that was themed to the 1920s.
Yeah.
And it was absolutely outstanding. And Conan, at some point they do like a bunch of fades because Conan can't figure out how to do it or comedically can't figure out how to do it. And says to a person who's moderating the room, he goes, I have to admit something to you. I urinated in the file drawer about 20 minutes ago because he's trapped, Kristen, because he's trapped. It's the goddamn funniest thing. So just stop listening to this show and go watch Conan O'Brien in an escape room.
Oh, God.
But yeah, so escape rooms in horror movies in particular.
Yeah.
I think, honestly, I do think that Saw itself, like escape, it's so funny. Saw started in 2004. Escape rooms sort of started in the early 2000s, although not in the US. But there is sort of like a convergent evolution of the puzzle mastermind thing.
Yeah, I think that's true.
And so escape rooms growing enormous, I think somebody was like, well, wait a minute, if we just make a movie about escape rooms, we can basically have our own Saw franchise.
It definitely feels like it's a little bit of like a Saw light.
Which is why I have this piece of trivia.
Okay, great.
About the movie Escape Room that we're about to discuss, which came out in 2019, which for all intents and purposes, like I think if you look at escape rooms on Wikipedia, like the actual...
The entity of escape rooms?
Yes, the entertainment venue escape rooms. When they say pop culture, they only talk about this 2019 movie. They're like, they made a movie of it.
Yeah.
Yet, on IMDb, this escape room movie from, what's his name? Adam Robitel, is the fourth film relating to escape rooms that was released within 2 years.
Oh, wow.
At that point. Including a game, or a movie, apologies, that was called Escape. I mean, they're all called Escape Room.
Yeah.
There's Escape Room 2017, Escape Room 2017, and No Escape Room, which was 2018. But one of them stars friend of the show Skeet Ulrich.
Oh.
And the plot. Now, I just talked a lot about like Jigsaw, and so you can see this, right? Like the machinations of
Yeah.
some mastermind who's infallible, and he put...
And of course, this falls into the machination category.
Yes.
As you established.
As I laid out at the beginning of GameTober.
Yep.
P.S. Has GameTober, like, flown by for you?
Unbelievably fast.
Unbelievably
fast.
I hope people out there have been enjoying GameTober, because I seriously feel like
this month absolutely friggin' flew.
Completely flew
both
by.
on Guides to the Unknown and in life.
That
so
this
maybe
was
that's
like
why.
Doing GameTober on the show was like a joy.
Yeah, easy peasy lemon squeezy.
So,
except these, I didn't like these movies.
Escape Room?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm curious to talk about that. But the Skeet Ulrich one I need to tell you about first, because I feel like it's a no-brainer that, like, almost to its own detriment, it's a no-brainer that if you're making a horror escape room movie, it's that somebody put you in a room.
Yeah.
And there are life and death stakes if you don't solve the puzzle.
Yeah.
Right?
Of course.
It's Jigsaw.
Yeah.
No-brainer.
What else could it be?
Here's the plot of Escape Room from 2018.
Okay.
Starring Skeet Ulrich. The film centers around a group of survivors who challenge themselves inside an escape room when an employee buys an antique demonic box.
Oh, wow.
To be used as a prop that turns out to be evil and possesses whoever opens it and kills the victims.
How weird. That's so weird. So it sounds like, I mean, I haven't seen it obviously, but it sounds like the fact that it's even in an escape room is like incidental. It's more that we're worried about this demonic doll or whatever?
Yeah, well, demonic box.
Box.
Yeah. That possesses whoever opens it.
That's so strange.
It's so strange. Now, this is free on Tubi.
Okay.
So I wanted to watch it. Mm-hmm. In fact, I put it on and hit play.
Yeah.
And that's where everything went wrong.
Oh.
No, the movie played.
Oh.
You know how, like, the beginning of The Exorcist is Father Merrin, like, walking around in dust?
Yeah.
For like 45 minutes?
Yes. And you always forget every time you watch The Exorcist, and then you're like, oh, that's right.
Like, God, please bring me to Baltimore.
Yeah.
What's going on? This movie opens the exact same way, with just like people out in the desert, and they find the mysterious box.
Yeah.
And it takes, I mean, forever. So long for it to stop being about.
What is Skeet Ulrich doing? Did you even see him?
I did.
What's he up to?
Unsurprisingly, Skeet Ulrich is filmed in his own location. He does not seem to interact.
Is he like the game master in his own home?
I did not get past the opening.
Okay.
Even on the poster, you can tell he's just like disconnected from this plot. You know what I mean? But so he's in a home office, and he calls who I believe to eventually be the main character on the phone and goes, "This isn't good. Our business is not doing well." And so it's just going to be like, well...
Is it the escape room business?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
It is like the boss. Skeet Ulrich is the boss, but he's only exists on the phone because we only have him for a day.
That's
so like the whole thing just sucks.
I was hoping that he was going to be some sort of Jigsaw-esque
wouldn't that be great?
Puppet master. Oh my God. There's a show on right now. I've seen the first 2 episodes. I do like it, but I have to tell you, Mark Paul Gosselaar is playing like Hannibal Lecter light in it. He is the big bad guy.
Mark Paul Gosselaar?
Yes.
Now, I like him.
I do too. He's doing fine. It's just conceptually, it's just so weird.
I'd like to watch that. What is this?
So I'll tell you the premise of it with no spoilers. It's on NBC. It's called Found. And the premise, which is in the trailer and everything, it's going to sound like I'm spoiling it, but the trailer basically spoils it. So it's this woman who's not a cop or anything. She's like a private detective, I guess, who tries to find missing people who the mainstream are not as interested in. So like people of color and like sex workers and like drug addicts and stuff. So she's like tracking them down, and it's partially because she was kidnapped when she was like a teenager, I think. And, you know, she got out, and so she has this drive to find missing people who people aren't looking for. What you end up finding out is that Mark Paul Gosselaar was the person who kidnapped her back in the day, and now, as an adult, she tracked down and found Mark Paul Gosselaar and is keeping him in her basement chained up and brings cases to him, being like, where do you think they took this girl?
Yes. Okay.
It's a good show.
Yeah, it sounds fine.
Yeah.
It sounds like exactly what you think it is.
Yeah, it was funny to me, the idea of it. But no, He's not in it a whole ton, I'll say.
Bravo. Like, is it that kind of...
No, it's not. He's playing it pretty, like, realistically.
Let me out of these chains.
No, it's pretty realistic.
Okay. Right.
But from the trailer, I was like, oh my God, is this going to be like some sort of like arch thing? But it's not. But it's a good show.
Because, you know, he could always get out by just going, time out, and then just step out of his chains. Is this chick wacko? I thought I was the cuckoo one. Time in. He's still in the chain. Ah, damn it. I should have run away.
Absolutely right. And they flash back to like him with like the kidnapped girl like back in the day. So you see him being like mad, crazy guy a little bit.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see that.
I think it's worth a watch.
Okay.
I'm going to keep watching it.
Well, here's the plot of that escape room, that Skeet Ulrich one from Wikipedia. Don't worry, it's only 2 sentences. You know, like Wikipedia is like user edited. Like anybody can do this. I swear this wasn't me. All it says in the plot is terrible movie, that's all.
Oh my God. On
the official Wikipedia page for this thing.
That's a bummer.
That is a bummer. I almost want to rewatch.
Like change it.
Try to watch it again just to... I feel bad for them now. I know. Terrible movie, that's all, someone wrote.
Boy.
Poor Skeet Ulrich.
I know. He's all right. He's like insanely hot and
poor,
rich. So.
Poor Skeet Ulrich in Escape Room 2018. He's just trying to get his business in order. Anyway.
He's just a man.
Puzzles don't create psychos. All right, let's talk about the actual escape room movie. Okay. The only like acceptable.
Yeah, that we have decided as a society, this is the escape room movie.
This is the escape room movie.
Right.
All the other ones called Escape Room that came out the same year and then slightly before. Forget those.
Seem not to count.
This is Escape Room, the movie.
Yes. Okay, you saw this in the theater.
I did. Allie and I saw this. Yeah. Again, because we like escape rooms, and so we saw familiar words and bought tickets.
What'd you think of it?
I liked it. I remember liking it at the time. It was 2019, right?
Yep.
I liked it at the time, but I don't think I could have claimed. I had never seen it again until this past week for this show. So it may have been couched as one of those movies where it's like you go and you watch it and you go, all right.
I saw that.
That was fine.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And then you leave and you forget about it. And then I was aware that there was a sequel, but I just never got around to seeing it until this week.
Yeah.
But I remember and still do feel generally favorably. I'm fine with Escape Room 1.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're going to spoil it, by the way, everybody. We're going to spoil Escape Room and Escape Room 2. Why don't we give general feelings, then we'll do it after the break or something like that.
Okay, that sounds good. So I hadn't seen either of these until this week, although I did want to. I just never got around to it. And I didn't really like them. I'm on just like this side of not liking them. But
I think we're probably pretty close because I think I'm literally just on the other side of the wall.
Yeah, I'm at like 49% and maybe you're at like 55 or something.
Yeah, exactly. I think
the worst.
I think that I certainly as like a PG-13 horror franchise, which is what these are. I think that they are completely acceptably entertaining and conceptually interesting. Familiar is all get out, but that's sort of the point.
Yeah.
You know, like it just sort of goes down smooth in a sense.
I wish that who turns out to be the bad guys was more interesting.
Yeah.
I was just kind of like, whatever.
You're gonna go like, oh, of course.
Yeah. It's just kind of like, it's weird. Like, well, it's more of a spoiler thing. I'll leave that for there. But anyway, as I said, I thought it was interesting that you could tell that there was such a jump in budget from the first one to the second one. Like the first one had they definitely have some really cool sets. Like
some of the ideas I think are really, really solid. This one is in the trailer, so I'm not too worried about saying this just as a premise.
Yeah.
But like I just talked about, like when I did that 007 room.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, now I go through the fridge into another room?
Yeah.
There are a series of escape rooms here. So you escape room 1, you end up in room 2, to room 3, to room 4, blah, blah, blah. Well, one of the rooms is made to look like the outdoors.
Yeah.
So they've got screens. They've got screens on the walls that project the image of, mountainous terrain stretching off to the horizon.
Yeah.
Which weirdly is like, and maybe this was also the case in 2019 itself, but like there is I can't think of the name of it right now, but specifically on The Mandalorian, they've got this new technology that is sort of like a green screen set. You're inside, but they just project the horizon.
That's
and
cool.
however the camera moves, the perspective naturally changes of the screens behind the character, so it looks perfectly seamless.
That's genius.
And that's more or less the technology that's sort of like, fictionalized in the movie. But it makes it look like, you're inside.
Yeah.
But somehow it perfectly looks like you're outside in a snowy forest.
Right.
Like, that's fun to me.
I thought that was fun too. It reminded me a little bit of Yellow Jackets season 2, the TV show, because a lot of it is like set outside in like a snowy environment. The first one was shot on location actually outside, and the second one was shot on a soundstage, and you can kind of tell.
Yeah.
And it reminded me of like the soundstagey look of Yellow Jackets.
I really can't fault anyone for going the soundstage route.
Me
obviously,
neither.
like it's easier to do setups. It's easier to film, even if you have to. But like, think about the difference in feeling between the end of Scream,
Yeah.
where you're at Stu's house, and it's a big place in the middle of nowhere with fields all around it,
Right.
and rolling hills for cars to like crash down on and stuff. And then think about the end of Scream 5,
Yeah.
where Stu's house is on a perfectly flat, level AstroTurf field.
Yeah, totally.
With a few strategic piles of leaves here and there. And it's just like, oh, this doesn't feel like a real place at all.
No, that's what Yellow
in any way,
Jackets
shape, or form.
season 2 feels like to me. It's pretty obvious.
Yeah, and that again, I can't fault the
neither.
logistical needs of a production for doing that, but
Absolutely.
it tends to take me out of it unless it's super duper 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 well done. But that's why I think Escape Room, leaning into it being a phony baloney jabroni, makes it a strength.
Yeah.
The characters know
Because
we're
everything's
not outside.
a room.
Yes.
Yeah.
So even if it feels fake,
Right.
that's to its benefit.
Yeah, because it would feel fake. It's known to be indoors. If it was
Yes.
too real, it'd be just kind of strange.
Having things
You'd
look,
wonder about what the power of the game makers is. You'd be like, what?
I know.
How are they doing this?
because there are certainly movies that
There is
have,
something in the second movie where I was like, what? How?
Okay, I'm
Yeah.
curious to get there.
Okay.
But have you seen the movie Cube?
Is it with like Jennifer Lopez and Vincent D'Onofrio and stuff?
You might be thinking of The Cell.
I'm thinking of The Cell. What is Cube?
Man, that's
I don't like that movie.
a big swing movie.
Something ain't right with that movie.
Is there any chance that movie was like directed by whoever directed like Nine Inch Nails videos in the 90s?
Maybe.
Anyway,
It feels grimy.
the Cube is I mean almost literally Escape Room, but in the 90s. There actually was just recently, I want to say, a Japanese remake of Cube, which is weird.
I think I'm wrong,
Cool.
and if I'm wrong, I think I know what this is. Is Sharon Stone in it?
No one is in this.
Okay, I think I'm thinking of Sphere. I think there's like a space Sharon Stone movie called Sphere.
Have you seen Trapezoid? Oh, I loved Rhombus 2.
The angles.
Yeah. My God, the angles of Rhombus 2.
Gives you a chill.
No, Cube is like nobody It's I think the first one was
Okay.
like an independent movie, and the second one didn't have any money.
Okay.
So, but like in those, Cube 2, Hypercube in particular.
I've heard of it.
Just
Has
literally
that
the name of
been
a
on,
movie.
How did this get made? Maybe.
Maybe. I like Cube 2, Hypercube.
Yeah.
No one else on the planet does, but
I was thinking of Sphere.
what is Sphere about?
When psychologists Norman Goodman and Dustin Hoffman wrote a report for the government on how to deal with extraterrestrial life forces, he didn't expect his recommendations to be used. Now that a secret government agency is investigating what may be an alien spaceship that has been discovered partially buried on the floor of the Pacific Ocean,
Boring.
Norman finds that the plan he outlined is being put into effect and the team he named in his report has been assembled. Okay, this also
Whatever.
stars Samuel L. Jackson, Sharon Stone, Liev Schreiber, Queen Latifah, Huey Lewis. I gotta see Sphere.
You sold me with the cast.
I know, what a good cast. It has
Maybe-
13% on Rotten Tomatoes.
I'm a little bummed that October flew by. Maybe next year we do Shapetober.
Oh yeah, we can really dig into Rhombus too.
all these
But I'm
shape
not
movies.
doing Rhombus 1.
No. So whatever. Okay.
Yes.
Cube 2, Hypercube, they break the rules of logic, and sometimes you will go into a room that's like impossibly large. It doesn't need to adhere to reality.
Okay.
But Escape Room, these movies clearly are
Yeah.
intended to
be things that could conceivably happen
plausible.
to a real person.
Outlandish?
Certainly, but physically possible.
But physically possible. And so, yeah, I think I would loosely recommend Escape Room 1.
Okay.
For being fun enough with the premise.
Yeah.
A little toothless.
Yes.
A little rote. I feel like you can almost be like 5 steps ahead of the movie to some degree. And it's a story that almost like tells itself.
Yes, and also the movie is written as though for dumbasses. Because
that's true too.
They say things like this. This must be the key to the door. Yeah.
Yes, there's a very, very irritating. I hate this thing in movies sometimes. And, I don't know. Listen, the movie was tremendously successful. So, like, these things must exist for a reason. But there's, like, a character in the movie whose, like, his only role is the obnoxious nerd who loves escape rooms.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait a minute. This is a representation of me on the screen. And you're supposed to think that this guy sucks.
I didn't think he sucked, actually.
Actually, the game masters, that's what I call them anyway, they're on top of everything. So, you know what? We're probably in a room right now.
He was
Look around you.
He was right, wasn't he?
Yeah, but he's like, I don't know.
I like that guy.
He's handled in such a strange way for me where it's like so on the nose.
Yeah, I mean, there's got to be someone like that.
I guess, but like, don't you get it
Just
with a few lines? Just be like, there's puzzles in these rooms. You've seen stuff like this, even if you don't know what a literal escape room is.
Right, you've seen a movie.
Solve puzzles and find door.
Yeah.
The end. That's it.
Right.
Stop explaining this to me. But you're right. They really hold your hand.
It's insane.
Oh, overly.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I'd give it a nudge. Escape Room 2, Tournament of Champions.
Where so this is what I referenced last week. I said that Stephanie Gagnon from Books in the Freezer told me that it's like kind of fun and that she called it a particular line to me. And it was that, what is this? Some kind of Tournament of Champions?
Yes. Couldn't believe it. This is like...
Go listen to Books in the Freezer. It's a podcast about horror books.
Escape Room 2 Tournament of Champions is almost like an old-fashioned B-movie.
In what way?
It's cheesy.
Yeah, I guess I'm like, yeah, but...
And totally illogical.
It's completely illogical, yes.
And way too grandiose.
Yeah.
That it just comes off very phony baloney. It's like a little campy almost. Not its acting or anything.
I wish that it were
but
campier.
In its premise, like in its storytelling swings.
I mean, it's the same premise as The Hunger Games 2 or whatever it's called.
You made it out of Escape Room 1, therefore you're going to be sucked into Escape Room 2.
Is that Mockingjay?
No. Catching Fire.
Yeah, Catching Fire. Yeah, it's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
Which is funny.
Do you recommend Escape Room 2, Tournament of Champions?
I can't particularly recommend either of them.
Yeah.
Not the worst. You could do worse, but I wouldn't say to a friend, like, oh man, you should totally watch Escape Room.
Of course.
Yeah.
For my money, you can do worse than Escape Room, of course, and that's Escape Room 2, Tournament of Champions. What is this, some kind of Tournament of Champions?
I feel like they're like the same. I felt the same about both of them.
They're very, very similar, but I think, I'm just over the line from you. I think the second movie was just a little too the same for me to be like, I don't even know why this is here.
Yeah. I think it's just there because Escape Room 1 did well.
I think so too. But yes,
there's no reinvention of wheel.
If you have any curiosity, watch Escape Room. You don't, and you've already seen Escape Room 2 if you see it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's my feeling.
It's true. All right. So Will, I think we're going to talk about spoilers after a break.
Yes. After we talk about this.
Yes.
Patreon.com/GTTUpod. Consider supporting us. You understand Patreon has a number of tiers, whatever fits best for you. Consider joining. We'd greatly, greatly appreciate it. And I think you're going to have a damn good time.
Yeah.
For one thing, the second that you sign up, you're going to get access to a ton of shows. If you join any of our higher tiers, particularly the Demon tier, you might even get an extra show every single Monday.
Well, if you join the Demon Tier, you 100% will.
Well,
yes, because we have a whole second podcast, a whole second weekly podcast called The Netherworld Dispatch that comes out every Monday, and demons get all of those episodes. We have other tiers where you can get episodes either bi-weekly or monthly, just depending on what works for you. And also, as part of our Patreon, we have a Discord that is hopping every day. It's like a chat room full of people who also like Guide to the Unknown, and it's divided into a bunch of different categories. It's really, really great. So we hope you join us over there because it's fun, and it also really helps the show. So thank you.
It helps us tremendously.
Yes.
The most recent episode of the Netherworld Dispatch is episode 132, which we called Clue Done It. We looked at a couple of shows, unscripted shows.
Yeah.
That aired on real television. One was a Clue game show in the UK.
Yep.
Which was this actually had scripted elements. They both have scripted elements.
Yes.
But there are like real contestants trying to solve murder mysteries and stuff.
And there are actors who like start in pre-recorded segments, and then those actors are on stage with them in character.
Very
being
strange.
Like,
Yes.
Yeah.
And the ABC hit series Who Done It here in the US, which was like, the butler laying out the rules and puzzles and
it's the best.
A huge big swing on TV, and it only lasted the one season.
But it's so fun.
It's dynamite. We took a look at it. There's this guy, Don, who for some reason,
I love Don.
I don't even know what the strategic benefit of this would be.
I don't know. He like wants people to underestimate him or something.
So he's this guy. He's a former detective, and he's like, "No, I used to teach football. I was a football teacher."
And everybody's just like, "So you were a cop, right?"
And then it cuts to his talking.
Like a cop air.
Yeah, and it cuts to his talking, and he's like, "I didn't want them to know I'm a cop." It's like comes off so sad sack. Go check it out.
He's
Clue
a real
Done
sweetheart.
It on our Patreon, and bizarrely, the same day that our Clue Done It episode, I love the saying Clue Done It.
I know, it's fun.
The same day that episode dropped, the trailer for Netflix's reality show version of Squid Game came out.
Oh yeah, I saw something about that.
Holy shlamoli. So it continues. Reality show death games coming at you.
There are a ton. We talk about a bunch of them during that episode, but we just like really go into those too.
It's true. And I've got a review for us here from Wicked Kidding, who says, "Fabulous. I absolutely love your podcast." Should I continue?
On, please.
But you never want to hear that.
I know.
As a tip, I use Google to pronounce words that I can't. When you look it up, there's a speaker you can click on. I'm not sure what word we said that Wicked Kidding is like, they should just Google this word.
I know there was an episode that was about like, I think I was talking about like the Wheel of the Year or something. It's like a year or two ago, which is like a Wiccan kind of holiday thing, basically. And I know that I butchered a ton of words there. I also know that I butchered a ton of words.
So you think it was you?
I do.
Oh, I think it could have been me.
Because I would say in the last year or so, I have been availing myself of that Google thing.
Have you?
Yeah, and then I write it in my notes. Like
clearly not enough.
I'm hoping that person is back in the catalog, maybe, because I really have made an effort. Because I think in the episode about fairies, I was saying all these Celtic words and I completely butchered them because, to be totally frank, I completely ran out of time. And I didn't. So it'd be like, you know how it's like...
We're a couple of enthusiasts who love this stuff. We don't know it all.
That word is spelled like Sith, but it's really pronounced she.
Yeah.
I kept just saying Sith.
Yansith. Yeah. It's fine.
I know, but it kind of galls me a little bit because I wish that I had taken the time.
I wish so too. That we could have had a finer review.
I know.
I personally have given up on any form of proper pronunciation.
William,
sick of it.
Come on.
Anyway, they go on to say, "I will forever listen to this podcast. Keep up the great work."
Thank you very much.
5 stars.
Thank you very, very much.
Very, very much.
And honestly,
I'll read the good and the bad. Send them in, everybody. Leave us a review.
Yeah.
Especially if it's about Chrissy. You can tell how comfortable Chrissy is with this.
Will, spoiler, it's not a spoiler, behind the curtain, Will read me that review like yesterday, and he was like, "Can I read you a review that's like, it has something funny in it?"
It's still a positive review.
Yeah, and I was like, "Is it going to hurt my feelings?" And he was like, "No." And I was like, "All right."
It's too vague. We don't know who it's about. I don't really want to read any bad things.
Yeah.
But I was kind of amused by that because there's no knowing which one of us is the culprit.
And also, I think it's genuinely helpful.
It's a nice review.
Yeah.
It's a nice review.
Totally.
And the last thing that I want to just sort of like plug is I did another episode of Tell 'em Steve Dave's Dave's, one of their Halloween shows. It is on their Patreon, which I believe, which I think is Google Tell 'em Steve Dave Patreon.
Yeah.
Anyway, I did what they called their all new Sunday Jeff show.
Yeah.
Halloween show. It was all Exorcist
fun.
themed. It was very, very fun to do. And yeah, go check it out. One of their Halloween shows. It is patreon.com/Tell 'em Steve Dave. All right.
Beautiful.
All right, let's spoil some stuff.
Spoilers are coming. And a 1, and a 2, and a 3. 3 spoilers. She's an old woman.
She's an old woman.
So.
She's not. There's no.
No, she's not. She's a young woman. Actually, in real life, this actress, Taylor Russell, is dating Harry Styles now.
Oh, is that
So
right?
she's in the news a lot.
Oh,
Well, my news.
interesting.
Yeah.
She was also in that love movie about eating each other. Together We Eat. What was it called?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Can't wait.
Can't wait to eat.
My Love is a Meal. What was it called? I don't know the name of it. Bobby told me to watch it, and I couldn't bring myself to.
Oh, yeah, I don't know about that.
Escape Room. I'll figure it out.
It's fine.
I'll figure it out.
Okay, so I wasn't correct about this, but I wanted to see if you thought this at all, or if you remember thinking it when you watched the movie in the theaters. I wondered at one point early in Escape Room 1 whether there was going to be some sort of Willy Wonka element to this where everybody is alive, which ends up being at least partially true by the end of the second one.
Yes, which is a huge, useless bummer. I would favor this to go a little more Willy Wonka.
I would too.
We've had some chat in the Discord about like what is a death game, what is not, where do they fit in my categorization. Nobody seems to have taken issue with my categorization, by the way. So I think maybe I will write an article and just seal this in.
I think you should.
We've done our studies this month. I think that we've confirmed that that my academic observation is law.
I think so.
But so Willy Wonka as a death game, the idea of all these kids going to the chocolate factory, not knowing that they're being tested and that there are a number of different things that they could do that could have them lose.
Yeah.
The contest, essentially, which is one of you is going to win the chocolate factory. You can
the chocolate.
The chocolate. You can become Willy Wonka, essentially. And I always thought that story, just a sidebar, maybe we'll do Willy Wonka someday. That'd be weird, but we could.
We could.
I always thought it would actually be.
Did because I remember reciting the "There's no earthly way of knowing."
It may have been. We've done a couple of times like looking at horror for kids or in kids.
Yeah, it might have been.
I don't think we've covered Willy Wonka itself.
It might have been for that, yeah.
But I always thought that the story. I assumed when I was a kid, the story was that these kids died.
Yeah.
In no way did I assume that these kids literally did
whisked away.
You know, Violet Beauregard. Did she literally get squeezed? And then, like, they took her to the juicing room and she survived? No.
That's disgusting.
She died in my head. And then that's always what I assumed. And I actually think it's stronger if they just leave it ambiguous. But so, yeah, you could go the escape room Willy Wonka route.
Yeah.
And discover, like, this quirky mastermind who's just, this is a game.
Right. And I was thinking that it was going to end up being perhaps that the people who died weren't dead.
Right.
And the first time I thought that was when the like escape room enthusiast dude who you're talking about fell through the ice.
Yes.
And you don't like he goes with the current. So his body goes away. And I was like, so we didn't see his like straight up dead body. No. So does this mean that he's going to pop up at the end of the movie or something?
This is also where I'm like, this is what I was sort of alluding to before as like the weird utility of a character who knows about escape rooms in the game. If it were that he died because he's like, I know all about escape rooms, we're going to be fine. And then his own hubris is his downfall.
Right.
It was just sort of this like messy, they're on the ice of the room that's supposed to look like it's outside. And he falls through the ice by mistake. It's like not by his own active trying to solve things, which is like, you think about like the twisting or that old slasher notion of like you sin in some way. Right. Randy's rules.
You like brought this upon yourself.
You brought this upon yourself. In escape room terms, you would think that it would maybe be like this guy believes he's ahead of the game master. Not knowing that this is a bigger game than he's ever done and his own hubris ends up being his downfall or something. Right. But it's just kind of like, no, he's annoying and he overly explains everything to make us all think that we're idiots and that he's a super nerd. And then he dies in a vague, bloodless. gutless. He falls in the ice, and then the characters are trying to find. And this is a scary thing that happens in real life. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you've ever seen this, but there's like a video of I don't know. Never do this. Just never do this, Kristen.
Okay.
It's people standing out on like a frozen river.
Already done. Won't do it.
And they've cut a hole. And someone jumps into the river and gets swept away by the current. And it's like the video is called like She Was Never Seen Again. Like this person who does this literally is just gone. We don't know what happened to her. So this happens. This can happen, that you can go under the ice and not be able to find your way back out through the one hole.
That happened to, I shouldn't call him my orchestra teacher because I took up the tuba and quit immediately, but that happened to the orchestra teacher in elementary school.
Is that right?
Yes.
It's horrifying.
Yeah, no, he fell into the ice and died.
Ugh.
It was terrible.
Terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as grim and like depressing as it is to happen in real life, if you're going to do that in a horror movie, I feel like you can almost feel how it needs to be staged to punch you in the gut.
Yeah.
But it's just sort of this weird floaty shot where the characters are looking at the whole area and the camera just sort of drifts over and you can see the guy in the water, and then he just sort of like, almost like when you slide the transparency on like an image you're editing, and he just sort of like disappears into the water. But it doesn't hit you. Everything about the movie keeps you feeling safe, audience member.
Yeah.
Which is I'm down with PG-13 horror.
Yeah.
But there's a weird, and I both like it and don't, but there's like a weird feeling in these movies where it's like people are dying.
I know.
But because we always cut away, it sort of gives you this wishy-washy feeling of like, well, maybe they didn't.
Right. That's why I thought like maybe they didn't. And then when the next death happens, which is Amanda falling into like a basically like an elevator shaft, like an extremely long way down.
I like this.
I did too. But I was like, oh, okay, no, she's dead. There's no question because that's so far down.
It's so far down.
So then in the second one, we already mentioned she comes back and it turns out that she fell onto a mattress.
That stinks.
Even if
it's
you
not
had...
a mattress. It's not a mattress.
What is it?
First of all. She did not fall onto a mattress like box springs and stuff.
Like a mattress.
No. They like when stunt people jump off a building and they land on one of those big fart balloons.
Yeah.
Those big air bladders.
It was one of those?
Yeah.
Oh.
She didn't land on a mattress. But I mean, I have plenty of issues with it, but
no, you're right. But
and plausibility of her surviving is still one of them, but it wasn't a mattress.
Well, okay.
Strictly speaking, just lying on the concrete floor.
I take it away. I genuinely remembered it as being like a Sealy Tempur-Pedic. But okay, but even if it I'm saying it is. I know it is now. But those bounce you. Wouldn't you just bounce into the elevator shaft wall
bounce
and then
all the way back up?
Even if you just bounce like a little bit horizontally, you're just gonna crack your noggin on the elevator shaft wall and die. You don't survive it.
I don't even know what to do with this. I believe they don't inflate these things so much.
All right, we can move on.
I think there's enough give that you kind of cush into them. I don't think that it's like you don't hit this balloon thing. Stuntmen, I mean, what do you think stunt people do? Do you think that they jump off a building and then go bouncing off?
That's why I'm laughing, because like, of course.
People do this.
Forget it. See, this is why I don't win escape rooms.
I mean, this would be a better movie, quite frankly. The entire room
My mind don't work right.
Is this bar that's upside down. The entire room is made to look like a pub.
It was neat.
That is flipped upside down, and then the ceiling, which is the ground, falls away bit by bit by bit. So you're going to plummet down this elevator shaft. And so Amanda is hanging from the billiard table.
She's hanging from the phone.
Oh, yeah, she's hanging from the phone, the dangling phone.
Yeah.
And then, of course, it gives way. I love the idea of her falling down this endless elevator shaft and then doing and flying back up with her arms outstretched and then grabbing onto something from the same. Oh!
I don't know what I was thinking. I think just because
the thing the Muppets do?
I think it's just because you used the word balloon thing, even though you were just trying to evoke like what this actual thing is.
Just an air thing.
I know exactly what you're talking about now. I think that's why my brain did that, though. Oh God.
I'm literally picturing like Fozzie Bear. Isn't he like dangling from something at some point?
Yeah.
I don't know what. Whatever. But so, yeah, she's said to have died.
And she didn't.
And she didn't, as we find out in the sequel.
So it turns out the whole sequel, she is the game master, who's the person who like puts together rooms because... So also, the bad guys of this whole thing, what we find out at the end of the first one...
Yeah, well, let's stay with Escape Room 1 for now, and then we'll worry about what 2 contrives.
And I don't even think we need to go beat by beat.
No,
But it turns out that the bad guy of Escape Room 1 is just like rich people who like watching this stuff.
Vaguely European villain, man. The scummy money man from Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
Basically.
No, it's literally that actor.
The scummy money man?
Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, you know that guy?
Oh, the like
guy.
social worker.
Yeah, the social worker.
Squish.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Is that his character name? Squish.
No, but do you remember that sound?
Aptly named.
That sound effect?
Oh, I know that Squish.
Yeah.
Believe me.
Okay, I didn't realize it was that guy. But anyway, yeah, like he's just sort of like some sort of middleman for them or something. Because he's not even the game master, I think he says. He's just like a dude.
Yeah, he's like, I think he's like, I was your game master, but there's the real puzzle maker. Like they start to like play into this like there was a hierarchy. Now listen, from working for Hunt a Killer, I can tell you that there are people who would show run a story and then like somebody who actually designs the puzzles. So like the notion of a hierarchy in a business does make a certain amount of sense to me. But then it establishes like we need to be climbing up this ladder bit by bit to eventually meet the CEO or something like that, which is not where any of this goes.
No, and also like that sure it makes sense that there's some sort of middleman, but why do you put the middleman in your movie? Why don't you
it's very unsatisfying.
Why don't you have an exciting bad guy in the movie?
I know.
I mean, he does bad things, but you know,
it's like, some chump, but it's very unsatisfying.
It's just a chump, and he says basically we put these on their live stream for wealthy people who like to watch such things or something.
Yeah,
you're like, oh, okay,
of course. Have you heard of the dark web?
Yeah, right.
And it's like everyone got scared of the dark web.
Yeah.
And it's like anything could happen there, even escape room.
Yes.
And it's all right.
And then
whatever.
It turns out they've decided to like turn up the heat on this by making it even more sadistic in the second movie by having one of the people who was in the escape room. They are going to have some sort of like blackmail, I guess. I don't know what you would call it. Like hold something over her head so that she must design the next round of escape rooms, even though she doesn't want to.
Yeah,
so now these rich people are getting their jollies on multiple levels. Not only are they watching people die, they know that this has all been orchestrated by somebody unwilling.
Yeah. See, this is where I'm like, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine for a PG-13 watch it movie where it's like, I think the bad middleman in 1 even has a line where it's like, they've got certain appetites.
Yeah.
Savage appetites or something like that. And he's on the side of the bad guys. I'm like, would they view, he even says like they like barbaric things.
Yeah.
And I was like, but if you like barbaric things, would you describe them yourself as barbaric?
I think you might.
Because that has a negative connotation.
I would imagine that the negativity of it is sort of part of playing into it, that you know that you're doing something that is wrong.
Okay.
So I think that you might describe it
you
as like
that
yes,
it's a
I
taboo.
have. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. All right. It hit the ear a little bit weird.
No, I
just
get
like
that,
the way they phrased it.
There's a book, by the way, called Savage Appetites. If I'm remembering right, I think it is about basically looking at the way, like the true crime boom, essentially.
Okay. Yeah,
I think I read it. I think I liked it. Not sure. But maybe look up Savage Appetites.
Maybe I never read it. I think I've barely heard of it.
No, it came out like a few years ago.
By the way, the movie that I was trying to think of before about the cannibals that love each other was called Bones and All.
Oh, okay.
And
remember.
the main performer of Escape Room, Taylor Russell, is in that with Timothée Chalamet.
Okay.
Who is now Willy Wonka.
Yes.
For the record.
Boy, it all comes together.
It all comes together. The grand machinations of Hollyweird.
That's right. Who's pulling the strings?
So anyway, Escape Room 1 has Amanda fall down that big elevator shaft.
Yeah.
And this drives me a little batty. Mm-hmm. Our main character, Zoe, sees Amanda fall.
Yeah.
And in the movie, she's watching as Amanda continues to fall, and then you hear like a thud.
Yeah.
And then she looks away.
That thud certainly would have been softened by the giant balloon that she bounces off of down there.
Yeah, it should have just been like a gentle farting sound of a balloon.
Yeah, just a squeak.
But so in the sequel, we see the event of Amanda's fall.
Yeah.
And she falls through a hologram of the bottom of the elevator shaft onto a balloon. So what was Zoe
my nose
looking
or something?
at?
I don't know.
Yeah, but it's just like all of this for what? To bring Amanda back, who was in half of the first movie, who we don't have much of a relationship with.
She was like one of... Actually, I would say she was the strongest character of the first movie.
I think that's probably true.
So I guess it's a surprise. First of all, it's a surprise. It's a shock in the second movie. And, bringing back somebody who I imagine, made an impact or whatever.
And just
certainly
saying,
made an impact. Almost did.
Saw 2 also brought back a character who survived a game from the first one.
True.
Named Amanda.
True.
Which is weird.
That is weird.
But Escape Room 2 does the Hunger Games thing, as you said, by bringing back other survivors. But it's the weirdest thing imaginable. So let me even back up for one quick second, because I think I know what's going on in Escape Room 2 that the movie never tells you.
Okay.
At the end of Escape Room 1, Zoe escapes. She gets out of the thing. And then the police show up, and they're like, there's no one here. It doesn't look like any kind of scary old game happened to you, lady.
Yeah.
Like, it's all cleaned up perfectly. And when she originally went in, it was like the waiting room for Dr. Wu Tan Yu.
Okay, I didn't understand this really.
She sees the words "No Way Out" spray painted on the wall.
Yeah.
And then realizes that "No Way Out" is an anagram for Dr. Wu Tan Yu.
Right.
So his name the entire time was of this mysterious person who's said to have put the game together. Dr. Wu Tan Yu means "No Way Out." But also the name of the company is Minos, which is a reference to the Minotaur myth.
Makes sense, I guess.
I guess, whatever.
I don't know. I don't understand
Lofty.
why. Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I don't really know the Minotaur story that well, even though I know I cited it mere episodes ago.
Whatever.
But it feels like it would be something like that, like Lofty. I didn't understand why Dr. Wu Tan Yu, they played it like it was hitting so hard. Like it's like a real like what kind of moment, and I was like, all right, so what?
To what end?
At this point,
It's meaningless.
But it was almost like it was like
a fictional
the
character.
crescendo of the movie, and I was just like, but who cares? Why?
Who cares? Who cares?
Like, what does this do now that you've noticed that it's an anagram?
It evokes the feeling of a twist or of a surprise without actually being one.
I suppose. I was confused more than anything. I really was like, did I? And then I pretty quickly was like, I don't think I did. But I was like, did I miss a reason that this would be so impactful?
No, I have issues. I have issues with some of the.
Yeah.
I just think like, and this
maybe
is where
Minos
it's
is an anagram for Smoin.
I think it is an anagram for Smoin. But I'm on thin ice a little bit, but I do have a few notes just about the general writing.
Okay.
We're introduced to our main character, Zoe, as being a brilliant student who knows the answers to things but cannot speak up to share them with others.
Right.
So like the professor's like, how do you get the area of a cube? Or something like that. And she writes it down but can't bring herself to raise her hand. And then the professor holds her back and is like, I think you need to learn how to open new doors. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, just tell her to think outside the box.
Yeah.
You need to escape a room. Like, it's just very perfectly dominoed where you're just like, from the first thing.
Right.
If you just think about it, you can like feel the whole movie just happen.
Yeah.
And that's why the sequel is so frustrating to me, because then they tell you in the sequel that things happened in the first movie that didn't happen.
Like what?
Well, like Amanda surviving.
Oh, yeah.
And I think there was even a flashback in the sequel to a moment that Amanda had with Zoe, where Zoe's like, if you didn't see it, it never happened.
Yes.
She says that in a flashback, which I don't think happened in the first movie at all.
Yeah, I don't remember. I remember that sticking out to me. Now I can't remember if it was because I was like, did that happen?
And then this becomes the repeated theme of Escape Room 2 Tournament of Champions. If you didn't see it, it didn't happen.
Right.
And so that's why Amanda is still alive, because the game makers are so maniacal that they're controlling everything.
I
So
know.
if you didn't see the dead body, they're not dead. But here's the problem. This is a PG-13 horror series.
Right.
So we've never seen anyone die.
Yeah.
So maybe they are all alive, to your point.
Right.
Who's to say now?
I know.
That one idea, you didn't see it, it didn't happen, so therefore Amanda's alive.
What does this mean?
It destroys the entire idea of there being stakes of life and death, which is
Yes.
what this is all about.
Right. Like, I know.
I didn't see any of it happen. There are people in this movie that die because they disappeared under the sand.
Yeah.
And then you find out that one of them isn't really dead.
Yes.
So it's like, well, then maybe the other one's not dead either.
I know.
Hold on, maybe none of them are dead.
I know.
I didn't see it happen because you can't show it to me because it's PG-13. So do not do the one thing they cannot do, the one thing they should not do is bring up that if you didn't graphically see death, no one's dead.
Right. I
Because
mean,
it's the
we're
one
kind of
thing-
getting the point already.
The one thing they can't do.
Yeah, without saying it out loud.
big problem.
You don't need to say it. Here's another phrase
Major
from the
problem.
second movie, and it happens during that like sand scene or whatever. That's just like, oh my God, who do you think is watching this? Why do they need all this help? So there's something where a character is looking through a Polaroid camera, and they say something, and then they say it'll last longer, and then somebody says that's like the phrase.
Yeah.
What? It's like the phrase, you take a picture, it'll last long. Yeah, we know.
Yeah.
It's-
Yeah. There's another thing like that
Holy
too,
moly.
where it's just like, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I
Yeah.
totally agree. And
It's so bad.
and about
Those things.
a movie about escape rooms could be something that like
It totally could.
invites the audience to take a closer look and surprise them with a twist at the end that was sitting in front of them the whole time. But instead it is very much this like silly little roller coaster ride
Yeah.
that just sort of happens in front of you. It's I don't know. But again, the thing that I will thumbs up, I think, is I like the sets.
Yeah, the sets are cool.
I think the sets are really neato. And that does a lot for me in this movie
That's
in
like
particular.
on Friends when they're trying to find things to say about Joey's TV shows that he's in that are good, and somebody's like, I'm taking lighting, and they're like, no, you had lighting last time. I want lighting.
Yeah.
You just have to like find stuff to say.
A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit. They do. And again, I think that this movie does the same. I didn't even tell you my theory.
What?
Let me tell you my theory. So she escapes the stuff at the end of the first movie. And the whole movie ends with a silly, oh man, the first movie's a mess. And I just remembered something else. I'll keep it brief.
Yeah.
I swear to God, I'll keep it brief.
No, the ends are crazy.
The ends are crazy. The beginning's crazy.
Yes.
Escape Room 1 opens with a shot of like a library, and then a man falls out of the ceiling, and he's like, where is it? Where is it? Where's the code? And it's like perfectly written for dummies, where it's like, he may as well be running around saying to himself, by the way, he's alone. He may as well be running around going like, I'm in a puzzle room, and there are puzzles to help me live.
I need to find the code in order to open the door.
If I don't find puzzle, I will die.
Yeah.
And he's running around, and then it ends with like the room is squishing on him.
Right.
And then you can like just imagine like it squishes to black, escape room.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. A cold open of someone dying in an escape room. No, because then it says 3 weeks earlier.
Yeah.
And that guy is one of the characters who will end up in the escape room.
Yeah.
And then we will revisit this moment from the cold open
In the end.
in the movie, and it's not, and it's like it doesn't work. It doesn't work.
No.
For a cold open, needed to be a little thing to just tell you what the movie is, like Scream.
Yeah,
like,
totally.
And you know that's what they're doing. They're like they cut the movie and then they went, we need something in the beginning that's
need, like, a
exciting.
big boom.
Because P.S. nobody dies in the movie until an hour in. I checked. Like nothing happens.
Yeah.
For the idea of the horror
And
of
they're
it,
short movies.
the horror stuff doesn't happen for an hour.
Yeah.
So you know
Like
they
an
were
hour
like,
and a half long.
put some exciting escape room stuff at the front, and they just took a scene from the middle of the movie and put it there, even though it rhythmically is very clumsy.
Yeah.
But they do the same thing at the end, which is weird too, because they cut and Zoe's like, we're gonna get on an airplane to take down the company. And then they cut to an airplane where someone's running to the cockpit.
Yeah.
And they're trying to solve a puzzle. It's escape room on a plane.
Yeah.
And the pilots aren't there. The plane's going to crash into the mountains. And then someone goes, and simulation. And it was a test.
Right.
It was the evil company doing a test, and then they literally have a scene where essentially like an Emperor Palpatine guy appears on a screen and is like, we've intercepted their tickets to come destroy us. They'll get on our plane and it'll be an escape plane.
Even though I like that. I enjoyed watching that.
I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about, where it being like kind of like a shticky, schmaltzy, dopey thing.
But it was for like 2 minutes
I
that it
agree.
was like that. I wish it was more like that. So I liked it. However, that was also the point where I went, this movie is stupid.
Yeah. Which is a shame because it's
I
about
just
something
thought-
that should be
I was
smart.
just kind of like, man, whatever. But then when that whole end part happened, I was like, this is so stupid.
very dopey.
This is very over the top.
But so they've
Yeah.
established, and this carries into the sequel, they've gone to great expense
Unbelievable expense.
to find the airplane tickets and reroute them to get these characters on their airplane, which is rigged as a trap for her.
Yeah.
And then in the beginning of the next movie, they establish that she's still afraid of flying and that she refuses to get on a plane. And she even says, let's just drive to New York.
Yeah.
And the whole movie happens where she goes on a subway, and the subway is an evil subway track that takes this turn, and
Right.
magically
It's
everybody
the
else on the
first
train.
escape room.
Yes, it's the first of the escape rooms of
Yeah.
that movie, and everyone else in that car is a former person who won their own escape room, whatever. Tournament of Champions.
Yeah.
What is this? Some kind of Tournament of Champions?
It's amazing.
And then the whole thing, I realized there's a fun idea where Zoe's talking to a therapist, and the therapist is like, you're seeing clues in everything. Like, no matter what, you'll never feel like you're free of this, because now, even outside the escape room, you're seeing signs where there are not signs.
Right.
And she's like, so this is a clue. And she like holds up her own purse. This is a clue. And she holds up a book that says no escape.
Yeah.
And she's like, you're not in the game. What's it going to take for you to feel comfortable?
This one was plainly evil to me.
Plainly evil. But I liked that.
I liked it
this.
too.
This worked for me. This next line, because Zoe goes like, I need everybody who did this to us to be held accountable, and
Yeah.
I need to know that they're going to be taken down for what they did.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the movie continues where she meets other people who are in this Tournament of Champions. They all die one by one, room by room, and it's very, very rote. It's very much the first movie again.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, she escapes
Yes.
again. But this time when the cops show up, Minos did not have time to clean up the crime scene. Smoyne. And in fact, now the police are on to them, and they're like, we're arresting people as we speak. Like, we're going
Right.
to take down this company that put you in this escape room Tournament of Champions.
Yeah.
Zoe. And she finally feels comfortable. And so she gets on a plane to fly home.
Yeah.
Only for that to be the escape room plane from the end of the first movie.
I know.
And she realizes she had this. Finally, they did the like flashback twist.
Yeah.
And the therapist, the obviously evil therapist, saying, what will it take to get you on that plane?
She was literally asking.
She was literally asking Zoe, what do we
Yeah.
have to do to eventually get you on this plane?
No, I really liked this.
I need to know that the company is caught and that the bad people are punished.
Yeah.
Then I will get on the plane. And that is what happens. They contrive the whole game
Yeah.
to give Zoe a false sense of security to get her on the plane.
Yeah.
Which, one, is a fun twist, and two, the thing the movie doesn't tell you that I think is going on is this evil company who seems to have endless amounts of money. You know they still care about money.
Yeah.
So at some point at the end of the first movie, they were probably like, she's not getting on the plane?
Yeah.
We spent all this money
Right.
to get a plane in the air. We've got to use this plane.
Yeah.
Ask her what it'll take to get her on the plane. It's all about
Yes.
using what they've already spent the money on.
No, I don't. Yeah, that makes me more sense because it's like, why are they so focused on Zoe?
They just don't want to waste the money.
They don't want
that
to
they
waste the
spent.
plane money. But I mean, couldn't they conceivably
We
just
already-
get somebody else on the plane? Like, why does it have to be her?
No, we already bought the whole plane.
It's because she's the lead of the
It was
movie.
supposed
is
to
the
be for
answer.
her. Yeah, it's because she's the lead of the movie.
I know, but it doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make
like
any
it's not
sense.
like she's like a super genius or something who they're like, she's our greatest test.
No, but I could at least appreciate the idea that they
I did
literally have a character say, what'll it take to get you to our trap? She tells them, and the rest of the movie is just a red herring. It's all about getting her to a place where
Yeah.
she'll get in the last trap.
Yeah, no, I appreciated that too. Also, that the therapist was like, "You must get on the plane," and I
Yes.
was like,
It is so
Zoe's supposed to be like, has these incredible deductive skills. And the whole point is the therapist is saying, you see everything as untrustworthy now. This is like the least trustworthy woman I've ever seen in my life.
Ever.
Zoe, wake up. Wake up, babe.
But she's living in a world now where it's like they go to a whole police station at the end, and that's part of the company as well? Because they're all liars and stuff. It's like, I don't even know. She is, you'll never be confident that there's any real world outside of this ever.
I wonder if Smoyne are the people behind the movie The Game with Michael Douglas, because similar endless resources.
You're absolutely right. I mean, this is the end result of that Jigsaw statue. Remember from Saw 3D?
Yeah, it's probably a Jigsaw acolyte who...
Minos is completely manned by apprentices.
Yeah, definitely. It's the first entirely apprentice-manned company.
Because they have enough employees.
Wait, Minos. Jigsaw.
If you change around the letters of Minos, you get I am Jigsaw's apprentice, haha.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. Who's sitting right in front of us, Kristen.
The whole time.
Also, they have a room that looks like outdoors of New York City.
Oh yeah, that was the thing that I was saying. I don't know. There was something I stopped myself from saying in the spoiler-free section where I was like, what? How?
I like it.
Yeah, it's
stupid, but I like it.
Crazy. The ceiling must be humongous.
It's got to be humongous.
Yeah.
Because it looks like the night sky going off into forever. And it's just like a taxi in the middle of the room and a telephone box. And
they got
bodegas.
to it through a manhole.
They did. I loved it, though. It looks like they're outside New York City at night.
Yeah.
And it's so dopey. It looks like they're in New Donk City from Mario Odyssey. It looks so dopey, but it's so fantastic. And it literally rains acid.
Yeah.
I don't think makes a lick of sense.
I mean, why not?
I don't know. It's absurd to me. Anyway, that's Escape Room 1 and 2.
Go. Yeah.
The ultimate death game.
Yes.
There is no escape. Even if you win, you don't win.
No way. No, this girl is absolutely never going to be free.
No.
Like, if this movie is still ongoing in like the ether and the creative world,
yes,
but not coming to fruition in a movie, this girl is trapped endlessly.
It's true. This is like the perfect opposite end of the spectrum of Hunger Games, where it's like I have issues with Hunger Games for like Katniss tries to destroy the games.
Yeah.
And now I don't like it because she's destroying the games.
Right.
This is almost the opposite problem. She will never destroy these games.
Never.
They are endlessly 100 steps ahead of her. And that also doesn't make sense.
No.
I don't know what the happy medium is, but no one's found it for my money. So there you go, everybody.
There it is.
The end of GameTober.
I know. That's a wrap on GameTober. Thank you for hanging out with us. We really hope that you enjoyed it. We will have plenty more episodes of other kinds of crap to come over the next, month, years, until October rolls around again.
Not just crap, the best crap.
Yeah.
Next week, we're going back to the world of the Blair Witch.
Yes.
With Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2, which I am so excited about.
I love Blair Witch 2.
I cannot wait.
It's so fun to watch.
So make sure you definitely watch it.
Yeah.
And definitely come back to hear what we think of Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2. Mm-hmm. But
rent it from the library. That's what I did when I watched it the first time.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow! I wonder if you can still do that. I'm sure you can.
Maybe.
All right, go to your local library.
Yeah.
So anyway, follow at GTTUpod on all social media, patreon.com/GTTUpod to help support the show and get a ton more shows for your effort. We greatly, greatly appreciate it. Leave us a review, share the show with your friends. Happy Halloween.
Yeah, enjoy yourselves.
Tricks and Treats, another Patreon show comes on Monday, Mischief Night, October 30th itself.
Don't egg me.
Please.
Right in the face.
And some people call it like Noogie Night and Jub Jub.
Yeah, it's like Goosey Night.
Jub Jub Night.
Yeah.
Scrub-a-dub Night.
Gum Gum Night.
Gum Gum Night. So we'll see you on Patreon on Monday, everybody. Have a happy Halloween.
Yeah.
And we'll see you next week in the world of Blair Witch. But until that time comes, we must travel.
Back to the netherworld go we.
Wait.
I can't.
This isn't the netherworld.
This room.
I can't get out.
Oh no.
Maybe we should make a death game movie. Oh no.
Oh no. I'm trapped in the room.
So Jack Black. The room.
The room.